Hey guys, Harrison1 back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and I'm trying to keep my voice down because it's 20 past 1 in the morning and it's kind of an awesome backdrop because there's a thunderstorm going on outside and I have no idea why in London. Kind of weird weather we're having. Anywho, this is a brand new series called Dre's 5 Thoughts On, and it's kind of like my own little race preview series I've got going on. I find the whole concept and series idea that a lot of YouTubers do boring, so I thought I'd try and put my own spin on it by coming out with my own version of a race preview instead, featuring 5 major points regarding the race, Formula 1, or the World Championship as a whole. And I'll put it together into one awesome edited video, and you guys will comment on it and like it and tell me how awesome it is, hopefully. So, this is episode 1. This is my first time I'm doing this, so be a little bit generous if you can in terms of feedback. It's a format I'm sure if you guys like it will only get better. So yeah, here is Dre's 5 thoughts on the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, first thought going into this race and into this video. This whole weekend and the Hungarian in general, on paper, is a track that Mercedes really should be excelling on. And on paper, this is a track that Mercedes really were built to win. I mean, a lot of people thought that Monaco going in, Mercedes were going to be the favourites, and I think it's a similar situation here. The track is not particularly high on tyre wear, so it's not going to be as big a factor as it was like in Monaco when Nico Rosberg won. The Hungarian is a very hard track for people to pass around, so it favours guys towards the front, and Mercedes have got ridiculous qualifying pace. So in theory, what Nico Rosberg or Lewis Hamilton could and probably should do is stick one of the cars on pole and hope their tyres can hang on, they don't get passed via strategy or in the pit lane, and they can go on to win the Grand Prix only because they'll be holding up a Red Bull or a Lotus or a Ferrari behind them. So in my opinion, at least on paper, a Mercedes should probably win this race. Then again, the only thing ever decided on paper is noughts and crosses. I've got to say Nico Rosberg probably the slight favourite over Lewis Hamilton because Rosberg's been there and done it and has won twice this year. Lewis Hamilton has failed to crack that glass ceiling despite being slightly more consistent. So I'm going to say Rosberg's my bet to win this race. Could easily be wrong though. Speaking of Lewis Hamilton, been a tough week for Lewis Hamilton in terms of Formula 1 in his camp and his relationship with the media and with the fans in recent times. It may be that Lewis Hamilton's got some personal demons going on. For those who may not have known already, he broke up with his high-class girlfriend, former Pussycat doll Nicole Scherzinger, just before the German Grand Prix. And as a result, he kind of said some things that made me question his mental focus at the moment in terms of talking to the media. Where he said things, for example, after qualifying, he said that it felt good that he finally had a car he felt was equal to Sebastian Vettel's, which statistically speaking is kind of nonsense considering that last year at McLaren won the same number of races that Red Bull did with 7 and could have easily won more if it wasn't for their mechanical issues they had over the second half of the year. Not to mention, he's won a world title in that same McLaren before in the past. And then he also came out with weird comments saying like the car was a disaster under heavy fuel loads, immediately after saying the car was equal to Vettel's, and not to mention his comments about Andy Murray just post-Wimbledon after he won his Wimbledon title, and then he came across badly in comments comparing tennis to the sport of Formula 1 in terms of physical ability, endurance capabilities and whatnot. It's a difficult time for Hamilton, and going by his tweets and his behaviour recently, it seems like he's got some issues and dealing with a messy breakup and whatnot. Can he exercise these demons and push forward for the rest of the year? Because Hamilton's consistency hasn't completely ruled him out of a world title challenge just yet, despite him being nearly 60 points behind Sebastian Vettel. If he really feels like he has a chance of winning the world title, he's got to send out a message, and quickly, before the media start swarming over him like a vulture. Dre fault number 3, blindingly obvious right now that Sebastian Vettel's probably, for now, totally okay with Dre fault number 1, that Mercedes seems to be the number 2 team now in Formula 1 to deal with in terms of a consistent threat. Constructors wise, Mercedes is Red Bull's closest rival, but from an individual perspective from Sebastian Vettel's point, both Mercedes drivers individually are 60 to 80 points respectively back from the top of the World Championship standings. Sebastian Vettel's main title rivals at the moment are Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso. Both guys that aren't winning races right now, and Alonso has not won in 4. This is good news for him. A good result from Vettel around here could put the lead near to 2 complete race wins, and going into the summer break it will put Vettel in a really, really outstanding position. For now, his main aim should be making sure he finishes ahead of Räikkönen and Alonso. Mercedes needs to win 4 or 5 more races before they can really get back in the hunt. So for the time speaking at least, Vettel's probably really okay with Mercedes being the main contender. Even Rosberg admits they don't really see themselves as world title contenders for now, more as a fly in the ointment for Red Bull, and that's probably the best way they could have described it themselves. Sebastian Vettel is still the man to beat in this sport at the moment. If you take away the British Grand Prix retirement, which he was probably going to win anyway, he's not finished outside of the top 4 all season, and if you can have a bad day and finish 4th, you're going to be really hard to stop for the World Championship. Dre fault number 4. Hungary right now is looking like it's going to be a really beautiful weekend in terms of weather. Sun in the sky, 25 plus degree temperatures. That means the track's going to be really hot, and that's great news for Lotus and Ferrari, arguably the 2 best teams in the field in terms of tyre management. As we saw at the Nürburgring, Lotus and Ferrari like it when it's hot, especially Lotus. Not only because it means their tyres run better, but because they already have the most durable tyres in the field in terms of being able to look after them and keep their optimum run rate going for as long as possible. And that gives them what I like to call strategic flexibility. If Kimi Räikkönen had run a 2-stopper in the Nürburgring, he probably would have won. And those kind of key elements in a strategic battle could put Kimi Räikkönen right back up the field, even if he qualifies not as well as he normally does. That's something to look out for. Remember, Lotus came 2nd and 3rd here last year with Raikkonen and Grosjean, and as we all have seen before, Grosjean is capable of flashes of brilliance like we saw at the Nürburgring and at Bahrain earlier this season. Look out for Lotus, and as we all know, don't ever rule out Fernando Alonso from a Grand Prix. Any race he enters, he can win if the car is set up right, and Ferrari, we all know, have consistent and excellent race pace. So if it's warm, look out for Lotus and Ferrari, and don't be surprised if they're right near the top of the field, despite their qualifying issues. And my final Dre thought going into this, will the young driver, or more adequately named the not so young driver test, have any effect on the field going forward? We all know this young driver test was created for 2 main reasons. One, Pirelli were about to get the sword from the FIA and the Formula 1 teams for being the unfair victims in this tyre Pirelli scandal, tyre gate, blah 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 blah. We all know the story by now. And just to give the teams a better chance to understand the rubber they were actually using, despite them being quite sneaky and doing tyre swapping and all that shit. So despite all that, the young driver test might alter the field somewhat, with these teams getting a more enhanced knowledge of the tyres they're running on. For example, we saw perennial title runners and top end drivers like Sebastian Vettel and Felipe Massa testing these tyres out. Not to mention all the young drivers like Susie Wolff and David Falchessi and all those kind of guys as well, all in their testing. So the teams are going to have a more enhanced knowledge of the tyres now. They've effectively caught up to Mercedes in terms of run-in time, because of Mercedes and their test, they had an extra 1,000 kilometers of run time. Now the field has caught back up again. Has Mercedes' advantage gone away? Will the rest of the teams catch up in terms of tyre knowledge, and will it affect the field in any way? If If you've got an opinion on this, I'd love to hear it, so please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. I think it's going to be very interesting, but would it have any effect on the field? If you're more knowledgeable than I am, feel free to comment below. So there you have it, 5 major points coming from me heading towards the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend. If you've got any other thoughts you'd like me to talk about or you want to know, or you just want to vent your opinion about any of the points I've made or the Hungarian Grand Prix in general, feel free to do so below. I really hope you enjoyed this. It's 2:30 in the morning as I record this, so hopefully it goes down well, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I did making it. It's a little bit more effort for me in terms of editing and whatnot, but hopefully it will come together as a nice little package. In the meantime, I'm at Harris101. I appreciate all your feedback. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.